Hello, Ben.
Mr. Barron,
How are you doing today?
good. Happy Friday.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise, it is Friday. This is From A to B, presented by Awesemo.com. I'm Andrew, that's Ben. We are going to talk about sports for you today, perhaps with you. Chat, if you feel like asking some questions, we can address those. Primarily talking NFL and college football today. We got a poll question, but there's a golf tournament. Do you feel like rushing over that for 5 minutes? I mean, Tiger's winning.
Yeah,
That's
Tigers win. We've said this, many people have said this, you can't even look because it doesn't matter where you are at this point. It literally doesn't. I saw Keegan is in dead last. That's reassuring. Get him
second
out.
to dead last is Bryson. That
I
was my
was going,
call.
I was going to tee you up on that. Yeah, that would be well said by you. We'll see if he can rally and get back in it because if he doesn't, I mean, Justin Rose right now is up there, but that could keep some interest for that mid pack that didn't really look like they had a chance. Door would be open.
Yeah. No, I mean
But
Patton Kazire is still alive.
yeah, he's fighting. But yeah, I mean, so far seems fine for my lineups. I did what I wanted to do. I left money off, dodged the dupes for the most part, and that's all I really was concerned about. We'll see where in another, 40 holes, we'll see where we're at late on Sunday.
Absolutely. Yeah, long way to go, but it's always fun to overreact early.
Yeah, there was also, and this is kind of surprising, the first 59 ever on the European Tour was shot this morning.
Really?
I just would have thought someone would have done that over the years. Yeah, Oliver Fisher, who's pretty creative player esque. So congrats to him. Pretty cool.
Hey, wow, that's very exciting. What's the tournament this week in Europe?
Portugal Masters.
Oh,
Yeah, you know how it is. Some Charles Schwartzel and the gang.
awesome. Sounds like a great time on the
Boy.
steep banks of the River Douro. Excellent. Speaking of overreacting, Baker Mayfield, Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Hello. You know me. I, I hate to be a downer on all topics, but my first thought was he was very fortunate he didn't turn the ball over twice. Never mind one of them breaking, and that's probably a different outcome. But he did look good. Made some plays, danced around, did some college-like Baker stuff. I don't know how often he's going to be able to do that, but at the same time, it was his first half. That's impressive. We'll see. The Browns have an ability to lower expectations so low that this seems like a bigger deal than it really is.
Yeah, I mean, he eventually looked good. I thought he was pretty shaky at first. His first couple throws were completions, but they were pretty far behind the receiver. And then he almost fumbled. But I mean, as the game went on, he made some really good throws. I was impressed because I haven't really seen him play before. My take on him was more like, wow, this guy is short and slow. Why would he ever be the number one overall pick? That
Yeah,
seems
I
tough
was
at
adamant
quarterback.
that he shouldn't have been. I will hold that for a long, long time. We'll see. I mean, he's one of many guys that the talent of all these dudes at this point is not, for me, not the issue. They can do it. It's if you can only do that for a half infrequently, you're not useful. Can he avoid turnovers? Can he dance around and not get RG3? We'll see those questions as he gets going. But, I mean, look at Darnold. Now Darnold has slid back to probably where he was, and it's only taken a couple weeks. This is what happens with these guys. It's the NFL.
Yeah. What the Cleveland Greg Williams defense did to Darnold, that was kind of my thinking last week about the Steelers and Mahomes. That was like the ideal scenario I was looking for, where young quarterback gets confused by weird zone blitzes. Like, it's just those things can be hard to pick up at first, and Darnold got taken advantage of. Like, that's a defense. That kind of stuff isn't going to work against the Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers.
It's gimmicky.
Yeah, it's very gimmicky. There
Yeah.
are guys open when you do that. Darnold just couldn't find them.
Yeah, and this is credit to Mahomes. I'm not saying this is a knock on him by any stretch.
He found the guys.
Yeah, I mean, he was great, and Darnold avoided that until he needed to press, and that's when you see it. He started to they needed to score, and he started to really try to make some throws that he probably shouldn't have. The Chiefs never got in that situation, but that's again credit to Mahomes. So yeah, I we'll see where all that goes. Two teams that got a lot more press than they should because they're both irrelevant in the big scheme of things.
Yeah, the most Thursday night game ever. Good stuff.
The ratings were huge, though. Huge. People, it's like the biggest Thursday night game in a long time. They said years.
For real?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. I think Jets fans are hyped up because they look like they kind of have a quarterback. Rookies. That's exciting.
It's a cool matchup. Yeah, Darnold, Mayfield. I think what the ratings towards the end really pumped up when it was Baker time. I'm not sure how many people wanted to see the Tyrod destruction. That was pretty awful. He was just terrible.
Poor Tyrod. I feel bad for that guy. He's been a very competent quarterback for a long time, and he just keeps kind of getting sold down the river. I mean, he was bad last night. I think he might have been hurt early because that the deep throw when Callaway got loose and he underthrew him by 10 yards was just.
And then he gave the old what is that? Don't try to make that's on Callaway, Tyrod.
Yeah, that was tough, but we'll see. They haven't. Hugh Jackson is not willing to commit to Mayfield as his starter yet.
For any other coach, I would be he's doing the sensible thing, which you talk to both guys. That's your captain. With Hugh Jackson, I think it's because he probably doesn't honestly know who he wants to start, and that's the most disturbing thing I've ever heard. So you never know with the old Brownies.
No, you don't.
No.
There is some news, NFL news. We have looking like another pretty heavily concentrated chalk week. Ajayi and Sproles are both ruled out. So Corey Clement will be, auto-loaded in a lot of lineups. Dalvin Cook is out. So you're going to have a lot of Latavius Murray. Jack Doyle's out.
Oh, my God. You know what that means, obviously.
Yeah. That Ebron's going to disappoint us again.
No, I'm obviously going to play him. He's going to get hurt. He always gets hurt.
Yeah. No, Ebron is... That guy was the 10th overall pick.
Yeah, he was very in college. He was pretty damn good. But anyway, so I think it's fair to say then you're going to see the double punt at running back in cash. I don't want to say everywhere, but pretty much everywhere.
Latavius isn't quite a punt, but yeah, he's
okay.
5,800.
Oh, wow. I Luffy said it last night, I think, and I discarded it. Now you're telling me. So yeah, not full, but it seems to be that you probably pay down. I mean, what's that rough? That's $10K for your two running backs.
Yep. And then Mahomes comes pre-locked, so that's $17K. You're probably playing the Vikings defense. You're probably playing Eric Ebron. I mean, there's not a lot of decisions to make. I may not play a ton of cash this weekend.
And I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not saying I'm doing this, but do you think playing Drew Brees in cash is a complete mistake? He's
no.
6,400.
It's at Atlanta, right? So
yeah, at Atlanta.
Still in a dome.
Still in a dome. His home road splits are not what you would think. They're not as bad as people say, especially when it's in a dome.
No, I don't really have a problem with that, I guess. Mahomes rates out as a better value. So, I mean, that's probably what I'm going to do. But, I mean, is there a reason you're into it or just trying to be sneaky? What's
No, it's I was just kind of looking it over. My big thing is when I do something like that, I need a reason. What am I doing with that 600? If I can get to someone at a different position where I say this is going to make a difference, then I'll consider it. I'm with you. In a vacuum in cash, I think I'm going to go Mahomes. But if I build and I haven't built yet, if there's a receipt, if I'm on a tier and I can't get, that's one that I wouldn't hate to make. I think that Breeze at 6,400 in a game that I really like, I think that's going to be a good one to target.
Okay. But, I mean, would you consider Matt Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the other one.
Yep.
No problem whatsoever. And he's even cheaper, I believe.
Yeah, he's 5,700.
Yeah, so that's 1,300. You can really, you can pay up somewhere for. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I will probably. I mean, I plan on targeting that game pretty heavily in tournaments. I don't know about cash. I'm not sure the Saints defense is just absolute trash all of a sudden. We talked about this last night some, but they just haven't really been able to get a pass rush going, and that's really tough. Like, your cornerbacks are kind of screwed if they're left out there, so it's not really on them necessarily. But I do think that eventually, I don't know. I guess I'm just not willing to say that they've totally gone to shit so far, but we'll see. Atlanta's got a good offensive line too, so I mean, it might be another tough week. But yeah, I'm definitely buying some Falcons. I mean, Tevin Coleman is, how much does he cost?
He's he's priced right next to somebody else. I should just bring this up instead of just spewing nonsense. Isn't there a guy right below him who's somewhat interesting?
Joe Mixon. Not
interesting. Joe Mixon.
Gio might be someone people play in cash too.
All right, here we go. Oh yeah, Chris Thompson. That's who I was thinking of. He's really not that interesting. Yeah, running back, adding to the appeal of David Johnson in tournaments because everyone's going to pay down. Go ahead, pay it down. But yeah, for cash, I think that's probably what you're going to do. And if it's going to be a 2v2 or a 3v3 fest, I may keep cash somewhat. Not, I'm going to play a little cash, but I might not load up like I normally would.
Yeah, I feel you. Because I do think, like I was saying, I do think that there's only going to be, the wide receivers and then one flex spot, I feel like, are where you're differentiating yourself. So could be a little bit tricky.
Fair enough.
Yes, absolutely. That is the NFL this week. Do you want to talk about some college? There's some college games. You got a 3-game slate tonight. You got a big one tomorrow. You pumped
up? Pretty pumped. I feel a lot better now that it's always nice, in a sport that's not daily. You can sometimes have to wait to really get going. And I finally had a good week. Feels better just to be like, okay. Because, every sport for me, there's a feeling that like I've never played, like it's rusty at the beginning of the year. With college football, it's been, it's not that it was just last season. It wasn't here. So it really felt foreign. And I kind of felt, maybe things really have changed, but back to normal. I'm excited. Yeah. 3-game slate tonight's pretty bad, but why not? Let's, you want to dive in that? You want to talk some main slate? What are you thinking?
I don't know. Are you playing tonight? I have some notes on the main slate, but
sure. Yeah, I mean, real quick, I'm playing a little tonight. You got UCF and Florida Atlantic. That should be up and down. I don't think UCF is nearly as good as certainly not as good as last year, and I don't think they're as good in general that people think. You have USC and Washington State. USC's got no quarterback. They've got this dude named Amun Ra. He's a freshman wide receiver, really good, gonna be a stud. And then the game in the middle is just not overly interesting, a weird one, Penn State and Illinois. So I'll be in Slack later of trying to build some teams. I don't think there's much to it, to be honest. It's 3 games. You know how that is. Short slates. You kind of just have to work with what they give you.
Yes, you do. So
I don't have chat open, by the way. So I don't know if you do. If we have any of our fine followers, what's up, people? I'm flying blind, though, if there's any questions.
Oops. I'm getting it up here.
I can do that as well. I should have just clicked into it. Oh, we have our good friend Llama Trainer, I think, in chat. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Anyway. Yeah. So that's what a 3-gamer is. It's more about just leverage roster construction. There's just not that many eligible plays at each position, especially in college. Some of these teams are so bad, you kind of have to bypass them.
Yep, I hear that. So before we get into the main slate of college, did have a couple questions from the chat.
Cool.
which are, hey guys, quick question about NFL ownership caps. Do you guys use them? Can you give a general idea of how you set them? So, how you set your own personal exposures when making tournament lineups. Any insight on that? This is from Chad.
Okay. Well, I'm a little different because I build by hand. So if you're talking about Cruncher, I am not the guy to answer that. But what I do, I don't get super, intense in the sense if I want 30% of a guy and I make 35%, say I'm building 20 lineups. If I have it on 7 instead of 6, I don't really fret about it. I build depending on how many lineups and how much time I have. Usually it's in either tenths or quarters. So what that means is, say I'm building, say 100 lineups. After every 10, I'll stop, kind of see what I'm doing, look at the exposure. So 10 intervals of it. Or I'll build in quarters. I'll build 25, kind of stop, see where I'm at, build 25, stop, see where I'm at. And then that's pretty much it. Depending on how aggressive I want to be towards the end, sometimes I take lineups that I've already built and just tweak them 2v2 it to keep my core. Sometimes I want to spread it a little thinner and I just build all the way through. So no set parameters, but I try to be cognizant of it as I build.
Yeah. I do a lot with trying to look at projected ownership because I want to see sort of how popular a play is going to be versus like how likely I think it is to actually succeed. So a lot of the time I will try to, it's not like I'm just going to fade chalk necessarily. I will try to see like, hey, what is the chalk and what's the probability that this guy hits that? And then I'll try to leverage that basically. If there's a situation I like, I will try to play considerably more than the field. And if there's a situation I don't like, I'll either, sometimes outright fade, sometimes just come in short. A lot of the time with like a super popular play that I understand why they're popular, but like I'm not necessarily there, I'll just end up coming in quite a bit under on. So it's hard to answer that question, I guess. Like I don't think anyone has like a set way to set an ownership cap, but
nor should you, in my opinion.
Right.
Like you want to be flexible. And we've said this on many shows before, but it's worth always repeating. It shouldn't be black and white. Like it shouldn't be full fade or I got to go 100%. Like you can take small positions on players, especially if you have enough lineups. There are plenty of guys, Andrew just said it, where I'm like, I'm not there, but I get the logic behind the play. They're going to be 30%. I have 16%. I kind of hope they do bad. If they don't, I'm not dead. You don't have to say, well, I got to play 0% of this guy. That's pretty aggressive. So I do that with plays, but not always. There's plenty of middle ground with, when you're going with ownership.
It's true. Okay, we got Will wanted to know about Mahomes. He's 8,900 on FanDuel.
Ooh.
Do you still consider that a must play when you've got the question was more when you've got guys like Gurley and Kamara? I think on FanDuel where you only play 2 running backs, and I'm assuming I'm going to bring up their prices, but assuming that Clement and Latavius Murray are not super expensive, I think you can probably afford him in cash still.
Yeah, I think you definitely can go there, but just from what I've seen, and I do spend more time on DraftKings,
Same.
The quarterback pricing is a little more spread out over there, so it makes, I think, the appeal to possibly save a little more lucrative. Mahomes is going to be in play. I mean, that's for sure. But on DraftKings, the big appeal for me was not only does he make sense, it's that everything is sandwiched. You're not paying that big of premium for. If he was 7,800 this week and he was, far and away the most expensive quarterback, I would be more apt to pivot, even though I still think in tournaments there's plenty of plays. But that is one of the things to note on the pricing structure.
Yep. I'm a big fan of Deshaun Watson in tournaments this week. I think that makes for a nice pivot. He is one of those guys that's super, super high variance, needs time to throw, doesn't do well. He has a terrible offensive line, so that's trouble. But the Giants don't really have much of a pass rush, and I don't think he'll be overly popular. And he's one of those high variance guys where you want to get on him when he is not the chalk. So
I'm on Russell Wilson. Similar reasons, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that. There's plenty of alternatives. That's for sure.
Yes. Emac saying me after dark. I'm in the witness protection program. Yeah, I got a new laptop, and it's got a better camera, quote unquote, than my old one.
It's a mystique.
Yeah, which just means everything is dark. Whatever. Yeah, I'll get a little lamp thing at some point, but for now, yeah, just look more badass. Okay. For example, last week. Okay, this is good. We should debate this because you and I came in on the opposite sides of this, but I think both of our logics were solid. So Chad followed up with, for example, last week Connor at 30%. If you agree he's a great play, how much above that 30% could you go before it's crazy? I went way over, and you went way under.
I did.
I think both of us were pretty fine with the idea. Like he was chalk. I was willing to buy that chalk. It just made sense to me. I had a hard time seeing him fail. So I did play. I played him in cash, and then I had him in 50-ish% of my tournament lineup. So I got quite a bit over the field. You went the other way, which I also get because you were really into Antonio Brown. So it can be kind of hard to have both of them go.
And not only that, I was into the running backs at the same price point. So I thought there was a reasonable pivot there. And what it comes down to, if we want to just talk not about Connor, but the play itself, is we were both cognizant of the ownership in relation to the field. And that's where you have to talk about this. It's if he's 30%, you can't play 25% if you really like him. If you have 4 lineups, you can't play him on 1 lineup. That's just not going to work. So there's no number. I'm of the opinion that you just have to be comfortable with your risk. If you really like a guy and he's 30%, I think you can play 70% of him. I think you play 100% in a certain situation. But it's kind of, you just have to weigh each play on its own merit, and you just want to make sure you know what you're doing. If a guy's only 12%, you don't need to play 80% most likely. You can get over with 30%. Connor's the extreme chalk, and there's plenty of situations where you're like, this guy is chalk, but I really like the play. You have to get 50, 60% to have the 2x if that's what you're looking for.
Right. And it's all about building a portfolio like that. At least the way you and I play, because we are both types that play. I mean, I will do like straight MME. I have no problem making 150, 300 lineups sometimes. That's not you as much, but I think both of us have, a 30 to 50-ish like heavy duty core that we will usually play. So that is not something with something like that, with that many lineups, I'm not usually going to say I'm playing 100% of anything, and I'm not usually going to say I'm not necessarily. There are players I end up full fading, but I don't go into it saying I'm playing 0% of anyone usually. So it's kind of just all about building a position relative to the field and hoping. You also got to get lucky because it's very possible to have 2x the field on 3 guys that do well and just not have them show up in the right lineup together. That happens all the time. And it's tough, too, because there is a heavy correlation with a game, so you want to be stacking a game, and sometimes you just get the wrong pieces to get. Like I had a bunch of Matt Ryan last week. Didn't work out great. Had a bunch of Ben Roethlisberger last week. Didn't work out great because they were with, Julio and Antonio Brown. Didn't really get anything done, and I was heavy on both of them. So you got to be careful.
It's true.
It is true. All right. You want to talk about the main slate for college?
I like it. Let's jump right into some college football. What you got? You want me to just start rattling off nonsense?
Sure. What's your favorite game? BC, Purdue?
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. But Boston College is really good. They have A.J. Dillon. He's going to be in the Heisman conversation. I think he's the best running back in the country. They use him. There are not many teams that use the pure workhorse. He's getting in big games. He could touch the ball 40 times on the ground. It really could get that extreme. They're just giving him the rock. Plenty. He doesn't really do much in the passing game, but he's great. So I don't think Purdue's going to be able to handle him. He's very safe, high floor. It's tough when you have basically a 0. He's going to have to find the end zone 3-4 times to really smash a 9K tag. So I don't mind going there. It is tough though. I wish he caught 3 for 30 each week. That would really help.
Yeah, I mean, running backs that don't catch the ball are scary. We've seen that in the NFL a lot lately, where those guys, your Isaiah, like Isaiah Crowell's had a couple really good weeks so far, but man, the floor on that guy is,
3.
Yeah, exactly. 15 carries for 32 yards.
Yeah. When you're touchdown dependent, it is very tough. It's such a polarizing play, and it's so high variant. Like, it's, you see it all the time, and in college too, that, you get stopped at the 1-inch line and then they hand it to the fullback, or they do something stupid if you're not padding those stats. But looking at this slate as a whole, I actually thought, and I always complain about the slate, I like the slate, but it looks very difficult. There's not that many great plays that stood out to me, especially when you look at quarterback. It was pretty suspect for a big slate. I thought there would be more options. I didn't see a ton.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so there's games like, here's a perfect example. You've got, and they're totally different types of games. You have Kansas and Baylor. Kansas is awful. They're just absolute garbage. They're playing a little better. Baylor's not great. They're not nearly what they were before all the trouble came down. I thought it'd be a good game to attack. Both teams are using 2 quarterbacks these days, though. Who's one may take the majority, but the other guy's going to see some series, and that makes it really tough. So you're just throwing them out. Then you have a game like Georgia Tech and Clemson. Solid teams. Georgia Tech isn't great. Georgia Tech only runs. Marshall, he's been getting crazy volume on the ground. He's carrying the ball 20-plus times. I can't think of many, besides Alabama, I can't think of a worse team that you really want to be running triple option against. Clemson's got 3 first-round picks on the line, a 4th possibly. It's a true pro line. So you're weighing volume for a guy like that versus one of the worst matchups. And there's just a lot of that on this slate. It's either a guy I like to target in a horrible matchup, or just a really murky situation.
Yeah, that is the tough thing, because this slate, it's got a lot of big name schools on it, but it's got all these like SEC boss defense teams that are really tough to attack. So I could see that being a little ugly. Do you think so? Ohio State is projected to just beat the living snot out of Tulsa. Is that one of Tulane? Sorry, yeah, I see TUL.
It's all the same.
Whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, is there? I know in college more often you'll see like the sort of the benches get cleared kind of thing when the team's really putting the hammer on someone. That said, Ohio State's projected to score like 55 points.
Easily.
Any ways you see to go there, or you avoid?
Interesting situation, because so Urban Meyer's back, and I don't think it's even remotely above him to really run it up. He's that kind of guy. Like, I wouldn't be stunned to see a 70-ish points by them, but he's also not an idiot, and they have Penn State next week. That's in Happy Valley. That's a big one. You would really have to be a dumb person to keep those starters in a game like this. Not that he's pertinent to the offense, but Bosa, your boy on the Chargers, his brother is amazing. He just got hurt last week. He's going to be out for a while. I'm sure health is the number one concern. So I have no problem taking some Ohio State guys here and there, but in terms of stacking them up, it's a tough sell. You're going to need Tulane to probably hold for at least 3 quarters to get there.
Okay.
And Haskins, he's another one. He's great. He doesn't really move though. So you're paying 10-7. He's going to have to throw 5 touchdowns. It's kind of tough spot. I'd rather go Greer.
Okay. This is a tough slate, man.
It is. I mean, I just keep looking up and down. You just talked about it. Texas A&M seems like a pretty good. Well, they're at Alabama. That's not going to work. You got Drew Lock. Could be. I think it's fair to say he could be a very, very high pick next year. He's got Georgia coming in. Not really ideal. So you can roll the dice on some of these guys, but just know that their matchups are brutal, or you can roll the dice in the other way and play a guy who's really terrible, at least he has a somewhat viable matchup, though.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Notre Dame, Wake Forest, anything there? I mean, that's probably got some, it's a reasonably close spread. It's not a crazy over-under, but there really aren't any on the slate anyway, so.
yeah, it's nothing. There is nothing outrageous. You can look to Sam Hartman. He's the freshman Wake quarterback. He's at home, but Notre Dame's it is a solid defense. I'm not a big fighting Irish guy. And then again, another team. I don't know exactly how much merit there is to this, but Winbush, who's the Notre Dame quarterback, there's a lot of people saying that Ian Book, who's the backup, is going to be taking some possibly reps early in this game. They have not looked good. They're very lucky. They are undefeated still. It's tough when you don't know the volume of your quarterback. That's just one I try not to mess around with. Split in time, there's a really dangerous game, and it's a slate that for some reason has a lot of teams that have that situation. Clemson's another one. Like they have, Kelly Bryant, he's great. Trevor Lawrence is the super freshman. So they're both going to see time. It's really hard to pay those prices for quarterbacks like that.
Okay. Anyone you would pair Hartman with? Any Wake wide receivers you're interested in?
So they got a handful of them. The best guy, and he's priced like it, is this Dortch dude. He's kind of shifty, catches some balls. I don't mind going to Surratt. They seem to look to him. I've seen more Wake than I thought I would. They've been on weird times, so I've watched 2 of their games. Surratt's been targeted, caught a nice touchdown against Boston College. He seems like a red zone threat. I don't mind that at all. If Hartman and him, it's not an expensive pairing. I think it's a little upside, but again, I'm going to have to do things like this on this slate. I normally wouldn't look to target against a Notre Dame defense, which is definitely a solid unit. In the grand scheme of things, there's easier targets to pick on most slates. It's I'm just looking up and down. Like Nebraska, I wanted to target their quarterback. He's hurt, so can't really go there.
Oh, is that why they're big dogs? I was going to say, isn't Nebraska usually really good?
They're also, they've been up and down in recent years. They have the UCF coach. Their first game, it was like huge. Everyone was excited. It got canceled because of lightning. And then they lost to Colorado, and then they lost to Troy last week at home, which is just very embarrassing. So they've got some issues. They were starting a true freshman, this kid, Adrian Martinez, mobile, looked good. Maybe he plays. Even if he does, at Michigan is not exactly what you want to be messing around with. So I don't see much there. The Pitt UNC game is one that I have circled for potential sneaky. UNC's looked really bad, but I think you could get some points out of that one.
Okay. Yeah, where would you go there? Because I think that is going to be for, donkeys like me that don't know anything about college football. That's the lowest total, and it's like, why would I bother with that game? But, if there's some value there, what do you think?
Yeah, so Anthony Ratliff-Williams, he was in line to have a big year. The problem is his quarterback has just been absolutely horrendous. UNC caught the rash they had like 15, 20 dudes suspended before the season started, and they've just looked horrible. Their game against UCF got canceled because of the hurricane. So they've had 2 weeks after that dismal start. I think there's a reasonable chance that they kind of regroup, come out fresh. They're at home. I don't mind pairing. I don't want to say go to Elliott because he's been just horrendous. But Ratliff-Williams at 5'8", I think there's some value there. Quadre Ollison was one of the easiest plays ever last week. Everyone had him. You had him. I had him. Mm-hmm. He was just mispriced, found the end zone. He's another solid player. Now he's priced more appropriately, so I'm not as intrigued, but Ratliff-Williams is the guy that definitely caught my eye. At running back, there's also, I'm jumping around a little, but on Kansas, this guy, weird name, Puka Williams Jr., he's had some big games for them. He's only 5,700. I would expect him to be popular just because everyone's looking at the game log, and it's like, well, this guy, pretty good. I'd be lying if I said I knew a ton about him. But against Baylor, that's not a terrible matchup by any stretch. you have to assume he's going to be heavily involved.
Okay. Another guy that doesn't seem to catch many passes, but
You're not
that's
going to
okay.
find a ton of those, though. I mean, it's tricky in college. They don't have many, like even guys in the NFL who catch balls regularly now. In college, they didn't. McCaffrey did, but other than that, it's
Yeah.
not. You just don't see it too much.
Do you any idea why that is? Just like I know, obviously it's something to do with scheme, but seems like throws to the running back are some of the easier ones to make. Like you would think they would do that more in college, but
Yeah. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know if it's that they have specific like scat backs who do that. It doesn't seem like it. Most teams don't have the depth to be messing around. But you really don't. I mean, there are teams that do it. Florida Atlantic's playing tonight. Singletary on their team. That guy catches a ton of balls, but you don't have many like AJ Dillon style. Like he doesn't catch balls. That's just not what he does. Wish it was. That would be a lot easier.
indeed.
Yeah, it's a weird slate though. It's I think what I'm kind of going to do, and you have to do this in some slates, is I'm going to pick a handful of dudes, those mid-range guys, and just work backwards. I wouldn't be stunned. The super flex is always, people ask me all the time, like, should you play a second quarterback? I think ideally you should, but at first glance, I don't even know how you get one quarterback out of this, never mind two. So I'm not sure I'm going to have two quarterbacks on many teams.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, Will Greer's the guy that I think I'm going to try to pay up for. He's very, very good. They're going to sling it all over the place. You could pair him up with any of his big receivers. Jennings, the best. That's why he's priced that way, but plenty of options there. And just really hope that he throws 5 or 6. I think that's a pretty decent chance that he can do that. And it's an opportunity cost in the sense I don't see much else. You can look to Tua, but once again, story of the slate, Jalen Hurts will be playing. They have multiple teams with multiple quarterbacks, and that's always a risky proposition.
Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah, Drew Lock. I hope Drew Lock is the nuts tomorrow versus Georgia. Someone in chat just said that would be nice, but I thought South Carolina was going to give Georgia a game a couple weeks ago. They didn't. They got steamrolled. Georgia is a good team. They've got Evander Holyfield's son doing work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have like a stable of amazing running backs. They're just Swift is their lead dog, but they got some dudes.
Okay. That's cool. Let me see here. We have is there who was the guy that was 1% owned that got 4 yards and then
Cam Martin?
Yeah. Who's the Cam Martin this week? I want to play him again. It's gonna work this time.
Who's the Cam Martin that's this week? Just an absolute bozo who's not gonna get there. So who I'll give you a Cam Martin this week. This is definitely an off the wall play, and I don't understand why he's not good. Tavian Feaster on Clemson. This guy, he's right up your alley. He is a speedball of all speedballs. He was a huge recruit 3 years ago. They got him. I thought he was going to be unbelievably good, and just never really panned out. Now they have a new kid, young guy, Etienne, whatever his name is. He's their primary back, but they still do use Feaster. He's 3,900 speed. He only needs one to get there. He saw some touches last week. Obviously, the game got out of hand because it was against a garbage team. I may roll the dice there if I'm in a jam. I think when you have speed like that and he's in the game, I don't mind the risk, but I really thought he would pan out better than he has. It's kind of surprising to me. Super fast, though. Blazer.
Okay. Yeah, guy like that, you get him in some space, and then it's all over.
That's really all you can look for. I mean, we talk about this all the time. The Tyreek Hill, of course, he's the easiest one to describe it. Volume for those guys is not that because it only takes 1 or 2. So we'll see. That's a weird game in general. Georgia Tech always is just awkward to play against, but I'm sure Clemson will find a way to handle them. Yeah, it's such. I would be really surprised to see scoring should be down tomorrow. In all instances, I just don't see many ways you get 5x across the like. It's just not that many good plays.
Yeah, well, that's kind of fun. I mean, isn't this super exciting for you? Then you love trash
I love
sports.
a slate like this. It's very difficult to build. Do you approach in any sport? Do you approach it differently when I know we can't really tell, but when it seems like scoring may be kind of limited or something like that, or are you just not really playing for something like that?
I don't as much as I should, I think.
Okay.
I mean, does that make sense? I think I do like at a golf, in a golf tournament when it's going to be really hard. Like I notice that and like play, I have different types of guys that I play because of that. But, I mean, when it's, the other three sports, like it's kind of more just, I'm still trying to get the most value I can. And I'm not necessarily thinking about it in terms of safety, but it does make sense. I think if it's looking to be a sort of lower scoring game or lower scoring slate, then you can get more out of, you can capitalize on that by going with some sort of safer, like lower ceiling kind of guys.
AJ Dillon for me, like not that he has a quote unquote lower ceiling, but the chances that he scores under 20, I said this to Antonio Brown, so it's worth what you paid for. It just seems so minimal. And normally, if it seems like such a ridiculous high scoring slate, it's like, geez, I need him to find the end zone 4 times. If he puts up 27, he 3Xs it, that might be more than plenty. Like I agree, you can take some safety and sacrifice some upside because it's more about, in my opinion, you're going to see some real landmines tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of guys that just don't perform, and there's going to be a lot of teams that have multiple problems. College is a little different. It's worth saying that you can survive with, like, I did really well last week. My main lineup had a straight 0 in it. You can get over with that in college more so. It's not like the NFL where you can do it a little, but it's a lot harder.
Yep, that makes sense to me. Cool. Well, if people are interested in some more behind the scenes stuff, we have some really cool stuff behind the paywall at awesemo.com. And right now we are giving away a free 1-week trial. If you use the promo code ATOB, you can get a 1-week free trial to any subscription at Awesemo. Check us out. You get more access to Ben for Slack stuff. If you want to talk to him in there, I got my projections. I don't do college football projections, but NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA projections. We have Awesemo's ownership projections, which are very useful, like when you're trying to build a portfolio and leverage that, like we were talking about earlier. So we got articles from all the guys. Ben writes some articles. We got Jake, Josh, Laffy, Adam, Emac, whole crew. A bunch of dudes. So you should come and check us out. That's promo code ATOB, 1-week free trial to awesemo.com. All right. Bryson has officially got to DFL. He tied Keegan.
Wow. Look at you.
Yeah. Hot fire.
Victory laps. Friday victory laps. Oh, boy.
Oh, and Mark Leishman sucks because he's not chalk. Again, I have way too much of him. And
I have a lot of problem, though. That's helping severely.
Yeah. Leishman at 6,300 and 8% owned. It's like, wow, that's an amazing play. Nope, he's not ever an amazing play unless he's north of 20% owned. It's just how it works with him.
Shame.
Find that to be very frustrating. All right. Anything else?
Poll question.
Oh yeah, we got a poll question. My bad. Let's look that up. Do you have it?
I don't. I can get it though.
I can too.
Let's take a look. So, as we always do on Monday, we posed a question and put it out to the Twitter sphere. Ooh. Question was, and this was tougher to come across in a message, but we did our best. It was basically, would you draft? You want to talk about it because it is you can kind of explain it better. Yeah,
sure.
speak.
Basically, like if you had the first overall pick, would you be comfortable drafting a kicker that can make any field goal sort of 50%? Oh man, now I'm struggling with it.
I'm jumping back in. I'm feeling good. His length is basically 50% extra of what a normal kicker. So he can kick a 60-yarder as a normal kicker's 40-yarder. Mm-hmm. And, it goes all the way up. Obviously, it's just a percentage. It's not like he automatically makes it, but he would have crazy range. I mean, he could kick a 90-yard field goal like a kicker's 60-yard field goal.
Yeah. A 90-yard field goal would be, it's less than a coin flip, but it was shocking to me when I looked up how good kickers actually are.
There's some good ones. Yeah, Justin Tucker style.
Well, I just mean like in general, it's like people make 75% of their 40 to 49-yard field goals. Like that's insane.
That's very good.
That's like a 4-foot putt is a 45-yard field goal. It's about the same expectation of going in. I don't know. That's wild to me.
Anyway. Yeah. No, it is pretty crazy. So we put it to the vote. The answer was close. 60-40 said no. I would do it. I would draft him number one, no question in my mind. I think you could build a team around that. The value of that would be immense. Now, I know if you miss a field goal if you try like an 80 or 90-yard field goal and miss, you're in serious trouble. But I wouldn't
already in field goal range.
Yeah. I mean, if I was running things, I would do a lot of crazy stuff. I wouldn't be kicking any field goals anyway until it's in the end of the game. And just the value of being able to kick, they kick off, you get a touchback. You need, 10, 15 yards to try a long field goal? That's pretty valuable.
Yeah. If the other team scores towards the end of a half and leaves you 12 seconds, like you are live to
you can run it.
Score. Yeah.
Like that's pretty damn valuable.
No, I'm with you. I think I actually think it's worth it too. The amount of situational situations where that would be exceedingly useful is just insane.
Can't put a price on that. I mean, would you rather?
Well, you can. You'd be paying $8 million a year for a kicker, which is a little tough, but
I didn't think about that. Yeah. Still, I still would do it. That would change your entire. You could structure your team around that. I think that's a viable offense to have.
But, I mean, a 50-yard field goal as a 33-yard field goal, that's an extra point. Like they're going to make 50-yard field goals 90+% of the time. That's a really valuable thing to have. Yeah.
I think even a little past that is like the optimal. Like they're making 60, 65-yarders basically all the time.
Yeah, 75, 80% of the time. They're going to get their 65-yard field goal.
That's pretty juicy. Like you wouldn't need that good of an offense. You could just nickel and dime them to death.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that because I will say, like, as offenses sort of become more prevalent, I think that this person would have been like the number one overall pick, and you make him the highest paid player in the league in the 1980s.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because I'm with you. Like, I think these coaches that don't understand the value of going for it in all situations, like I would rarely be punting or kicking field goals.
Yeah.
But just the ability at half and at the end of the game it would change the narrative for both sides. You would not have you would have to, like you said, you couldn't leave time. You just couldn't because it would be and it would be awesome to see guys kicking 90-yarders. That's also a ticket seller.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. No, in Denver, like you could be trying one from the opposing 5-yard line. Like,
the risk reward would be something.
Actually, at the 5, do they even have enough room to kick it? Because you're like 17 yards behind.
It's just a safety. He's just standing out of bounds back at the end zone.
Oh man,
it's we're never gonna see that, but it would be cool. I would do it.
Yeah, I think so too. I get the argument both ways. I'm glad it was a close call in the poll because
It is close, yeah.
I think you can make an argument to not do it, but it's such a unique weapon. I think there's a number of times where it would come in super handy. So
I also just think, and last thing I'll say, we're telling you what the guy would be. Picking number one, as we've seen 100 times, like there's a reasonable chance you get nothing for that pick. So you're getting a field goal kicker who can make field goals 50% more in terms of range. That's what he is. It's not like it turns out he can't do that. He can. Value of that's pretty good. Or you could get Baker Mayfield. Look at that guy. Who wants him?
Jadeveon Clowney.
He could be useful.
Yeah. He's playing. It's got NFL news. He's playing. Dalvin Cook's not. So gonna be kind of a chalky weekend. It's a little, I don't know. I'm like not as into this NFL slate now, to be honest, but I will still do my fair share of playing because that's what we do. It's a good time.
It's true. I'm gonna. It's only 2 weeks in, but I got to right the ship. That's what happens. It's topsy-turvy.
It is. Absolutely. All right. Well, again, behind our paywall, we have a lot of cool stuff. There is a promo code ATOB if you use to sign up for Awesemo.com. 1 week free trial to all of our stuff. Check it out. See what you think. Stick around if you like it.
Yeah.
If you don't,
stop in Slack today. For college football tonight, I will be playing.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, that was poll 2. Good times. We'll have another one on Monday. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Ben, nice talking to you. Josh, thanks for producing. And we will see you all next time.